Chase Elliott is NASCAR's most popular driver and has won many races and a championship. But since the end of 2022, where has he been? He's not winning races near as frequently as he used to, and he seems to never have that race-winning speed. So what's going on with Chase Elliott, and is something wrong? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today as we talk about Chase Elliott and his lack of race-winning speed. To start, let's go back to 2020. Chase Elliott had just won the championship, and many thought that this would be the start of the Chase Elliott era. But it wasn't. In October of 2020, it was announced that Kyle Larson would replace Jimmie Johnson in the rebranded 5 car. Many thought that Kyle Larson would win maybe 2 or 3 races and maybe make the round of 12, but as we all know, Kyle Larson won 10 races and a championship. Meanwhile, Elliott won 2 races that year and was really solid making the final 4, but it was clear in the finale that he just didn't have the speed to keep up with the other 3, and Elliott finished last of the final 4. Statistically speaking, Elliott had a good year. It was just overshadowed by Kyle Larson's historic season. In 2022, the Cup Series as a whole would be reset with the next-gen car. In 2022, Elliott started strong. In the first 12 races, he already had a win, 3 top 5s, 8 top 10s, and had the points lead by 65 points. But a rough 3-race stretch at Kansas, Charlotte, and Gateway dropped his points lead back down to 9 points. But at Sonoma, we would see the turning point of his season. Elliott had some trouble early, but would turn it around and salvage an 8th place finish. After this, Elliott would spark a 5-race top 2 streak, a win at Nashville, a second at Road America, a win at Atlanta, a second at New Hampshire, and another win via disqualification at Pocono. After this stretch of races, his points lead was over 109 points over second place. That is almost 2 races worth of points. After a couple of average weeks at Indianapolis and Michigan, a solid top 5 run at Richmond put him in a position where he could go out and clinch the regular season championship a race early at Watkins Glen. And that's exactly what he did. After some teammate controversy, he finished 4th and had nothing to race for at Daytona. To start the playoffs, it was a disaster. An early wreck at the Southern 500 relegated him to a last place finish, but he was bailed out due to his playoff points and overall position. He finished 11th at Kansas and 2nd at Bristol to get past the round of 16. In the round of 12, he got off to yet another disastrous start, blowing a tire at Texas and finishing 32nd. But a win at Talladega would put him through to the round of 8. Once again, in the round of 8, he got off to a bad start. He was mediocre the entire race at Las Vegas and finished 21st. But instead of following it up with a good performance next week, he once again had another average day, finishing 14th at Miami. At Martinsville, Elliott was up front early but faded over the course of the race and finished 10th. This would be enough to claim a spot in the final 4. But in the championship race, Elliott was a non-factor and then got spun out and finished 28th. In 2023, Elliott was injured in a snowboarding accident which caused him to miss 6 races. Elliott would return but just didn't have the same speed he showed the previous year. Plus, he missed an extra race by right-hooking Denny Hamlin and got suspended. This basically put him in a must-win situation. He wasn't able to win anything and missed the playoffs altogether. 2024 would prove to be a bounce-back year for Elliott. He snapped his winless streak at Texas and was able to make it all the way to the round of 8 where he was ultimately eliminated. In 2024, he only had 1 win, but he did post the best average finish in the series. So that brings us to today. So far, Elliott has an 11.7 average finish in 2025 and is currently sitting 4th in points. So why are we talking about Chase Elliott if he's not running bad? Simply put, he's just not winning. Now, is this necessarily a bad thing? No, not really. But it's not a good thing either. Modern day NASCAR is based around winning, and Chase Elliott hasn't done much of that lately. Now, do I think Elliott has taken a step back? Absolutely not. Let me explain. Now, while Elliott hasn't been winning, he is quietly a top 4 to 7 driver in the series. For this, I'm going to make 3 points. My first point is his average finish. Now, you may have seen this graphic I made for the Ricky Stenhouse Jr. video a couple weeks ago. Now, some of you may not have noticed, but who's that at the top of the list? It's Chase Elliott. Elliott has quietly been the best finisher in the Cup Series and is able to be there when it counts. Elliott has not been running bad, he's just been consistently in that 7th to 15th place range. A very consistent driver and is running well. My second point is the amount of DNFs. Another graphic I showed was the amount of crash-related DNFs. This filters out mechanical failures and stuff like that. Elliott only has 9, which is the 3rd least, only behind Michael McDowell and Justin Haley. This tells me that he's really good at taking care of his stuff and is able to survive until the end of races and salvage good finishes, which is a really critical trait to have in modern day NASCAR. My last point is his crew chief, Alan Gustafson. As a former Gordon fan, the Gustafson era was frustrating. The botched calls, the poor qualifying speed, having to play catch up all the time, it was just a lot. Gustafson cost Gordon quite a few races. Number one that springs to my mind is 2014 Miami. He's also cost Chase quite a few races, like the 2020 Coke 600. Gustafson, without a doubt, has been carried by the drivers he's worked with. He's worked with Kyle Busch, Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon, and now Chase Elliott, all legends. To give Alan some credit, because I don't just want to crap on him, he does have 39 wins in his crew chiefing career, which puts him 8th all time. That is impressive, but a lot of that is probably down to the drivers he's worked with and not down to him being a genius. Now, why is he not winning? I have a theory to why. Here's my theory. To me, it's a combination of things. When the next gen car first came out, it was new. Nobody had a lot of experience with it and everyone was at ground zero. I believe Elliott and his team were truly the first to figure it out. But when other teams started to figure it out, Elliott started to lag behind, hence the noticeable lack of speed in the playoffs. Something that kind of ties into this is the driving style of the next gen car. In the Gen 6, it was all about leaning on the right rear tire. But with the next gen car having a lot of things to improve rear grip like wider tires, the rear diffuser, independent rear suspension and stuff like that, this took away leaning on the right rear, instead moving the lean to the right front. That's why in the early races of the Gen 7, guys like Larson, Harvick, Bell were struggling. But if you notice, by the end of the year, all those drivers adapted to the car and became the top dogs in the series. Meanwhile, Elliott had a harder time adapting to the car, and because of this, at the end of the year, he had faded to the teens. Another thing is his injury. In his snowboarding accident, he suffered a fractured tibia. Elliott came back after 6 weeks. Does anyone know the recovery time for that type of injury? It's a minimum of 4 months. So there's just no way he was fully healed when he got back in the car, and the results reflect that. Now in 2024, he was back to normal and was super consistent. And if you're a regular viewer of the channel, you would know that he won the 2024 championship in my Breaking the Chase video. So do I think there's anything wrong with Chase Elliott? No, I don't. Now sure, he doesn't win as much, but he still has the best average finish in the next gen era. Elliott has just been really consistent, but not consistently up front and dominating like he used to. I still think Elliott is elite, easily around the top 5 in the series. Now I do have to admit, I did jump on the Elliott is mid bandwagon and said some things that I don't believe are true anymore. But what I did was take a step back and just looked at how he performed, and there's nothing to suggest that he's regressed. Honestly, what I compare his current form to is kind of how I look at prime Terry Labonte. A guy who doesn't win a lot but is super consistent and keeps his car out of trouble and can walk away with good finishes, and on some occasions win championships. Would we all like to see Elliott win more? Yes, but is it a problem? Yes and no. No in terms of he's running well and is very, I'm sure I've used this word a lot, but consistent. But yes, in terms of not winning. Modern NASCAR is based around winning and you have to win. But in conclusion, Chase Elliott is fine. He's still up front, finishing well, and is very solid. I believe he'll get it figured out eventually. I really do believe he will. We just need to give it some time. Anyway, that's going to do it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 4,000 by the end of the year. Comment, follow me on Instagram. Thank you to my channel members, and I will see you guys next week for another video. Y'all have a good one.